professional fighter, I should say, write your own contract. And then in each language, merge those contracts together. So it's the best contract in that particular language. So now you have 20 contracts of all different languages. Then you take those 20 contracts and you merge them together into the English language, making one contract for everybody using the English language. And then you take that contract and you translate the English language into the lexicon for a living being. And you can find out what that language is at the Ayn Rand Institute, AYNRAND Institute. And that is a universal language. And what that language will do is allow you to skip over the athletic commission, skip over the corporations, skip over the media. It goes beyond the government on this planet. It's actually a universal language and will allow the fighters, once you have formed a four-dimensional collective, it will actually allow you to fight on different planets and different star systems. It's a very complex language. So say somebody asks you in the English language, what color is the car? One person might say, it is a blue car. Another person might say, the car is blue. So with the same words, you've indicated the same information, but you use different words doing it using the same language. And the lexicon for a living being works very much the same way. So what is recommended is when you go from the English language to the lexicon for the living being, hire 5 different people who are already familiar with the lexicon for the living being to translate that language for you, because it's a very complex language and it takes a long time to learn it. But it's a universal language that allows you to go to other planets. And you also want to keep in mind that we are living in a matrix, and on this planet there's a jump room that you can walk through a door and pop out on Mars. It's called a jump room, and that is possible. So that's just something you want to keep in mind. So once you have that contract in the English language converted by 5 different individuals using the lexicon for the living being, you take those 5 contracts and you merge those into one. So you'll have the absolute best interpretation of the lexicon for the living being in that contract. And once you have that one contract in the lexicon for the living being that was written by every single mixed professional fighter on the planet, at that point you would translate that contract back into those 20 languages, so that no matter where you are on the planet, everybody will be working with the same exact information under the same exact standards, and everyone will be perfectly on the same page. And then any changes made to that contract should be made right in the octagon that you guys created with the cameras, so that if anybody wants to make changes to the contract, or someone comes up and says, oh, okay, no, we gotta, you got a license in this state, or that's not how it works here. You're already working with a universal language. It goes beyond the athletic commission. It goes beyond the judicial system. It goes beyond the government on this planet. So any changes made to that contract from there on out should happen right in the octagon with the cameras running under the watchful eye of every champion fighter on the planet. So that is the recommendation there. And I do know some angels who are familiar with that language, but you could just go to the Ayn Rand Institute and find out people who are well aware of it there. And if you have any difficulty, you could contact me, and I know angels that can help you with that. So and at that point, once you have that contract, all licensing will be done by the fighters. All basically you won't be using the rules of any corporation or the media or the government anymore. The fighters will be handling all that themselves, all licensing, the judging, the scoring of the fights, the rules of the octagon. That will all be handled by the four-dimensional collective. So basically what'll happen when you do that is that this chart will even out and you'll have two even bars. So the fighters are getting paid real well, and then you guys will have all the help you need, only you'll be in control, whereas right now it's the corporations and the media 98, the fighters 2. That's the score. And that's, I mean, that's just one UFC, but if you investigate others, I've investigated a few of them, it's all the same. It's every single time the fighters are getting not good. Also, maybe if the solar system isn't far enough and you wanted to go to the, let's say you wanted to go to the Pleiadian star system to fight. Well, once you have this contract in that arena ready, I do know Pleiadians that I can ask, and I'm not positive what they're saying. I'm not speaking for them right now because I didn't ask them. But if you guys were ready to go and you had that contract in that octagon and you were ready to put on a fight in the Pleiadian star system, I do know Pleiadians that might be able to help you, and I would be happy to ask them if you wanted me to. And that's it. So that's how you do that. Also, when you're writing this contract, some of the considerations that you could take into consideration are licensing on a planetary scale, who's in charge of scoring the fights, and what's recommended there is that you do not judge the fights at all. The fights will only be observed and scored, no judging. The referees would then be under the direction of the collective, four-dimensional collective, and that wouldn't be handled by the Athletic Commission anymore. Healthcare. What's recommended is that you guys hire, once the four-dimensional replica or four-dimensional entity has been formed, then you guys would, it's just an idea, to hire your own doctors that are familiar with the hardships and the what a MMA fighter goes through. So you would basically have your own team of doctors, and if something did happen in the octagon, your doctor would be right there. So there would be no going to the hospital or no, and you'd have actually doctors that know well what's going on. And all licensing, the license to fight, that would be all handled by the collective as well as orchestrating and actually booking the fights. That would be all handled by the fighters. And I do understand that the fighters are busy with their fighting, but I mean, you guys got friends and family and things like that you could do. And right now, you guys are relying on people that you don't know, who don't know really anything about the industry, you just keep paying them money, from what I could see. The paycheck and the pay scale of the fighters, the paycheck would, and the amount of control and influence that a particular fighter had in the four-dimensional entity would be in direct proportion to the amount of time and effort and energy that particular fighter put into the sport. So say somebody's been fighting for 10 years, 5 fights a year, and then another fighter comes in and he's only been fighting for a year and done 2 fights. Well, the fighter with all the experience is going to have a lot more influence in the 4D collective than the fighter who just showed up. And that formula can be done with sacred geometry. Also, the retirement plan. Uh, you'll want to consider a retirement plan, because I know that the fighters don't have a really good one right now. And also, another thing that you should be considering once you're familiar with the lexicon for the living being is assuming control of an actual stadiums across the planet. So the four-dimensional entity would be actually in control of the stadiums, and when you're not fighting, you could actually rent that space out and do concerts and whatever else. But the stadiums would actually be in control. The 4D collective would be in control of different stadiums all across the planet. And then in these stadiums, you would want different training facilities so that the fighters who are fighting each other don't have to train in the same place. You know, if they're just getting ready to fight, I'm sure they don't want to train together. You'd want restaurants in the stadiums. You'd want apartments in the stadiums, so that if you go and, you know, if you're from America and you have to travel to China to fight, you could actually go there 2 or 3 a week before or whatever, and stay right there at the stadium in an apartment, so that you could do all your pre-fight interviews and your weigh-ins and things like that